Anytime you take photos, you'll want to go through them and make decisions about what to keep and what to share. And in some cases, you'll want to enhance photos. PhotoStar aims to make going through your photos as efficient as possible and gives you effective ways to organize your photos while you're at it. One of the key features of PhotoStar is to allow you to rate your photos with between 1 and 5 stars, as well as to apply tags to your photos. This is a great way to organize your photos, but PhotoStar takes things a step further and allows you to create rules to automate some of the things you'll typically do with your photos. I've already added my accounts, but I'm going to show that to you. So I have a Facebook and a Dropbox account, and I've also created an email group for sending emails to grandparents. Twitter, Picasa, and Flickr are also supported. Let's define one of these rules. So the first rule that I'm going to add is to say that anytime I take a photo and I rate it between 3 and 5 stars, we're going to back it up to Dropbox. And that's a useful rule because it means that we're not going to be backing up photos that aren't worth backing up, whether they be 1 or 2 stars, but we are going to automatically back up things that are worth it. We're going to also add a rule to automate some sharing, and to do that I'm going to define a couple tags. One is for Eli, and another is for Hazel. Okay, so we've defined these tags. We're going to go back into our rules. We're going to add a rule that says anytime I take a photo of Eli and I rate that as 5 stars, we are going to email his grandparents. Likewise, we're going to add a rule that says anytime we take a photo of Hazel that's 5 stars, we're likewise going to email the grandparents. And we're going to add one more rule that says if we take a 1-star photo, we're just going to delete it. And that'll be a really efficient way as we're going through and curating our photos to decide what we want to keep and what we don't want to keep. So there we have 4 rules, and one last thing we'll do is to define a tag called eArtwork, and we'll use that as an example of how we can use tags to organize our photos. We'll treat that kind of like a folder. We'll tag any artwork that I've taken a picture of with that tag, and the idea behind that is that sometimes we take pictures of artwork or projects that kids have done so that we don't have to keep the physical copies of everything. Now that we have some rules, let's try processing some photos. So we'll start with this photo, and we'll apply the eArtwork tag, give it 3 stars, and notice that this will be uploaded to Dropbox according to the rule that we defined. Next photo didn't really work out, so I'm going to rate that as 1 star, and as we decided, that means that the photo will be deleted once we're done going through the photos. I'm going to tag this, or rather rate this as 5 stars, and I'm going to turn on face tagging mode. And what that will do is it will indicate where there are faces. And if you touch the face and select who it is, it will apply that tag, and over time it's able to learn what people look like and do that automatically for you. Notice also that the photo will now be going to grandparents via email, as we can see by this box, this orange box here. I'm also going to type in a description. Great. And lastly, I'm going to improve the colors a little bit, and to do that I can use the adjustment gesture. Just by sliding my finger up, it will increase brightness and contrast together in an appropriate ratio. So I'm going to save that change, and now I can move on to the next photo. So I'm going to adjust this photo as well. That's looking pretty good. Save that change. Give that 3 stars. This is Eli. Give this 5 stars as well. And I'm going to adjust the colors of this photo as well. What I'm going to do is start by sliding up to start that gesture. But this photo doesn't really need any more brightness, it just needs a bit more contrast. So rather than sliding my finger up and down, I'm going to use the other axis of this two-dimensional screen to the right, and that'll increase the contrast. So I can click Save there and move on to the next photo. Rate that one as 4 stars. Indicate that this is Hazel. 5 stars. This will also go to the grandparents. And that's the last photo. So let's click back. And you'll notice that this photo here disappears because we rated it as 1 star. And I'm going to go back one more time, and we can see that the actions that have been queued up are now taking place. So photos are being uploaded to Dropbox, and any emails that are queued up to be sent will be sent, and so on. And that all happens now automatically. You don't need to do anything else, and it can happen in the background. So if we wanted to go back into the photos and continue processing, or if we wanted to do anything else, we can do that. If we minimize the program here, it'll just indicate to us that sharing is taking place and what the current percentage is. So I fast-forwarded through the photo sharing so I can show you a few more things quickly. One thing worth mentioning is that there is a type of tag that we can add that is based on a location. So if I type home in here, it knows that that's typically a location. I can set the location by using my current GPS coordinates, or by choosing an existing photo that has a geotag. So I'm going to use my current location. It'll show me a map. I can then put a radius around that to create a geofence. And so once I create that, any photos that have been taken within that geofence will get that tag automatically, whether they've already been taken or whether I take them in the future. And that's an important feature because it's in line with this idea of making it as efficient as possible to curate your photos and do things with them. So that's going to save lots of using the UI to have done that manually otherwise. Alright, so let's go into our photos and take a peek at grouping. I can group by date, by rating, by location, although none of my photos will fall in that current radius, so I'll skip that. We can group by people, or we can group by tags in general, which will add eArtwork to the people tags. Let's turn off grouping and take a quick look at filtering. I can see my 5-star photos, 4 or 5-star photos. So you can select multiple of these things. I could choose no rating to see photos that have yet to be rated, and I could then process those, although I don't have any of those at the moment. I can select individual tags or multiple tags to see those photos. I can go by date or whether the photo has a geotag, and I can choose the folder that it's in, otherwise known as the album. And right now I just have the standard BlackBerry 10 camera and photos folders. But if I wanted, I can come into albums here, and I can add new albums or sub-albums and populate those with photos. And finally, let's just take a peek at some of the features that round out the program back in the photo screen. You'll notice these check marks that will indicate that sharing has been completed and was successful. There's also a share menu here that you can use to manually share to places if things haven't been triggered based on rules that you've defined. And so it's a very efficient multi-share interface. You just select all the things that you want to select. I just clicked on Dropbox and it's saying that can't be unselected, it's already been done. And there's also this BB10 share link here. So if I just want to fall back to the standard BlackBerry 10 method for sharing a photo, I can also do that. Under the menu, you can view the details of a photo with some of the metadata, such as whether flash was used, focal length, exposure, f-stop, ISO, and so on. And there's a slideshow feature, and the slideshow feature is interesting in that it can be combined with the filter to very quickly make an appropriate slideshow. Let's say you're at the cottage and you want to make a slideshow of photos that you've taken in the last summer. The really good ones. You'd come into filter and you might select 5-star or 4 and 5-star. You'd have a tag here for cottage that you would select. You'd go into date and select the current year so that you weren't showing photos from the previous year. And then you'd have all those photos in front of you, you'd be able to go into the first photo, start your slideshow, and away you go. PhotoStar has many different features, but they can combine together in some almost unexpected ways to allow you to share and to experience your photos in very new ways.